Hi, I'm Brady Ambler from the Nursery Golf and Country Club. I work under Braden Rogers. This is my mechanical side for the DFS. This portion will be about reels.
Well, I've made tutorials on everything that is used at the nursery to sharpening our reels, showing you how to relief grind our reels, then how we used our Bernard grinder to put the most even sharp edge on the reels blades, also showing you how we used our bed knife facer on our bed knives, how to backlap reels so that the reels would cut paper with lesser contact with the reels blades, then how to change bed knives on a reel, changing the heights on reels so that give the height of cut you want for your turf, and showing you how the procedures taken to take the reels off of the triplexes as well. That's why in this video I'm going to show you the procedures taken outside of the shop on the golf course that are used to help us with the maintenance done to our reels. First off, I will show you stuff that can dull your blades and maintenance procedures done to prevent our blades from getting dull. Then my next section will be ways to tell if your blades are dull by looking at your turf. My last section will be on how our creeping bent grass grows on our greens can affect our quality of cut on our greens. Ricky Green at the nursery. Stuff that can dull reels. Sand is one of the biggest things that can dull your reel's blades, because if you think about it, sand is basically rocks crushed into smaller pieces that your reel's blades can go over, cutting through dulling your blades of your reel's barrow and bed knife. When we do start to cut and roll our greens after we have finished brushing in the sand, we water the greens a few minutes before we go out to cut or roll to help push more sand in so that the sand does not stick to the reels and roller. And also, by watering, we are pushing more sand into the turf, cleaning our greens, making it better for our reels to cut through. So when it comes to after aeration, when we have top dressed the greens, we will use our roller on our greens with no cutting the greens until most of the sand has filled the holes. And when the grass has grown through the sand, usually it's only 3 to 2 days at the most, depending on how fast the grass is growing through the sand, that we would go without cutting. Then when we do send out the triplex to cut the greens, we will put out our sand reels so that we don't have to mess up our good set of reels. The sand reels are basically our older reels we used to use on the greens that have been worn out, barrows that still have some meat left to cut grass. What the barrows are, they are the reels blades that spin against the bed knives. We mainly use the old reels after we have put sand down on our greens, because what normally happens is over the years you will replace a set of reels or get a new triplex with a new set of reels. This way we can keep the new reels in good shape and wear out our older reels on the greens after the greens have been top dressed, making our new reels stay in better shape so that they last longer. Now, another big thing for us at the nursery that can dull reels is worm saplings. The worms tend to be a big problem for us on the greens because when they come up to the surface, they bring up soil and sand that can dull our reels blades. Luckily, we have gotten better at controlling them with some products that we have used in the past, and also the worms don't like sand due to the sand being hard on the worm's skin. So this has stopped them from being as bad as they have been in the past on the greens, keeping the worms in the surrounding areas of the greens instead of on the green. The worms tend to be only a problem when we have heavy rainfalls and are only on certain greens now. So when there is a big storm and the worms do get bad on a few of our greens, then we'll send out a guy with the brush to brush in all the worm saplings and all the dirt so that the dirt and the sand don't have to hit our reels, keeping our reels in good shape. Now, another big thing we look for on the golf course that can dull our blades on our reels is branches. If there has been a big storm or just lots of wind blowing branches everywhere on the course, we clean them off our greens by blowing them off, and we also do the same for our fairways as well. This way, there's lesser dings and bangs done to our reels, preventing them from getting dull, cutting through branches. Ways to tell if your reels are dull. Well, one way to tell if your reels need to be sharpened is if your greens look brown. And you may think that it just needs fertilizer, but it's not always fertilizer for the cause of the turf looking brown. I took these photos after we fertilized these greens in 2016 in my rookie green days, and that's when I learned that it was not lack of nutrients. What the real problem was is the reels were ripping the grass, not cutting the grass. If you look really closely at the turf, you can see that the leaf tips are all brown, showing us that the real problem is that it was ripping the grass, causing the tops of the grass to look brown, making the whole green look brown. Some other stuff you can also look for is you can tell it's not a nutrient problem if the triplex is dumping the same amount of buckets you normally dump, or if you're dumping more than you normally do. This can tell you that it's not a nutrient problem, but it could be your reel's blades are just getting dull and need to be sharpened and aren't cutting quite the quality cut that they should be. And of course, you could check your reels to see if they're cutting paper, and if they're not cutting paper, that's also an indication that your reels need to be sharpened as well. I do, however, think a bit of the problem with the turf being brown in the photo is that we had some major winter kill that year, and a lot of our turf was new on our greens. Due to the turf being new, it was more sensitive to being cut short, and that's why I think it was really brown that year. 2016 was a good year for me to learn about how the quality of cut can affect your turf on a golf course. How bent grass grows on our greens. Now that I've showed you the effects of dull blades, it's time to show you what gets done to get our greens at the nursery to the perfect quality cut. When our greens started to look brown, we would use our facer on our reel's bed knife and backlap our reel's bed knife and send out our freshly sharp reels to cut the greens. So when we sent the freshly sharp reels out to cut the greens, we noticed that our greens still looked brown, and didn't matter how sharp we got the reels, the greens still looked brown. That's when we took a closer look at our turf and realized that our reels were not cutting all of our grass leaf tips off. They were just rolling, packing down our turf, not cutting each leaf tip off like they should. The conclusion we came up with is our greens consist of creeping bentgrass, and the blades of creeping bentgrass like to grow sideways. And that's when we decided to brush all of our greens before we sent out our freshly sharp reels to cut the greens. By the greens being brushed, it was standing up all of the grass for the triplex reels to cut off all of the brown tips out of the greens turf, making the greens look green and not brown. Here's some before after photos of the greens being brown and green. Thanks for watching.